This video isn't going to be a full tutorial on both of these watches. Now if you want the tutorial side of how to adjust the times and all the other things, then I would recommend to go to Watch Geek's channel, and for those who are lazy, I will put the link in the description. What my video is about, the dive mode, because nobody has actually done a proper tutorial on this, because none of them have used a pressure pot stolen from Mrs Rangeman's kitchen hardware. So I'm going to kick off with the Frogman, the Frogmaster as I call it. I'm going to try and really make this as simple as possible. So if you own this watch and you don't know the dive meter side, or you're probably never going to use it, hang around to the end of the video because I'll show you how you can do it without using a pressure pot. I've sort of cheated, but anyway. So this Frogman will measure up to 80 meters, which is very impressive, and it will store all the information on a log, and I will cover all of this. So from home screen, to enter the dive mode is pressing button C down here for a long press till you hear a very long audible tone, and then it will come up with dive in that window there. And there it is. And so on this display, I just want to point out that bit of animation was cool, wasn't it? What it's showing in this window here is your time. This will be your dive time, and then it will show you a maximum of your depth. Now this only works when you're under 1.5 meters. So if you're on the side of a boat and then you jump in, it's not going to measure the length of your arm. For some reason they have it so it's 1.5 meters, so you are really under the surface of the water. Now there is a calibration side on this. Say I'm at 100 meters and then I travel say 2,000 meters above the sea and I do a dive on a lake, then it might not be so accurate. So to calibrate this, you need to press, while in the dive mode, press button A with a long press. Ignore what you see there for the moment, and then it comes back. And this is basically just zeroed everything off because you might get a false reading. I will be showing you how all this works in the pressure pot, but there are some features that require a push of the button, so I need to sort of explain this before it happens. So this is in the dive mode. So as soon as you go into the waters and say you're now at say 5 meters, it's going to start counting the time and start counting the depth. So while in this mode, you can press the light button and have some backlight, but you won't be able to set the auto light. So with a long press while it's in the dive mode won't give you the auto light. So you need to set this before you enter that mode. By pressing the button A while you're underwater will give you a temperature reading, which will be shown up here. And then button D here will give you a compass, and the compass will last for at least 20 seconds. And it gives you the degrees and gives you the bearing here with the little 3 points there. So once that 20 seconds is up, it returns back to the dive, or you can just press the mode button there and it will return like so. At any point you can take a manual reading using this side button here. So with a long press there, you have a record, and that will record all the data. That will give you your time, it will give you your depth, and it will also take the temperature as well. And if you had it in the compass, you could also take a recording of the compass. So when you surface above 1.5 meters, the counter here will stop, and you will have at least 10 minutes before you re-enter the water. Now, if you don't re-enter the water, it would just go back to timekeeping mode. I'd just like to point out that if you accidentally set the dive mode off, like so, and did nothing, after 30 minutes, it will go back to timekeeping mode. So if you've done a dive and you want to quickly check before you dive again while having it in the dive mode, just by pressing button A once, will take you to the log. At the moment I don't have anything, so what I thought I'd do once I get all that in the pressure pot, then I can explain a little better. So this is ready to go in the pressure pot so we can begin to record some data. The Frogman is in the pressure pot. I've wrapped some bubble wrap around it so it stops it from moving, and I've got my Blackburn mountain bike pump attached. So at the moment you just have the time there, that's the time now, and so you want to watch the counter there, because it will only work once it gets to 1.5 meters. So I do apologize for a bit of movement and the noise, but I shall try and do it as sort of stealthy as possible. So there it's 0.0 meters. It might just jump. Keep going, 5.7. So it's made the jump. So just to show you what is happening, that's at 6.1 meters, and now the timer starts continuing. So let's give it a little bit of a push all the way up to, say, 10 meters. That's quite a good depth. There you go, 10 meters, 11 meters. So I'm just going to disconnect the pump. This does have a warning on there, so if you submerge too quickly it will come up with slow, and it will come up with an audible beep for about 5 seconds. Whether you hear that under the water, I really don't think so. If I start pushing the valve there and start sort of pretending that I'm surfacing, and I'll do it slowly like that, you can see that it works like that. So if I do it really quick, you're going to see slow come up here, and then you'll hear some audible tone. You ready? And there it is, written slow, and it will be audible for about 5 seconds, and then the audible stops, and then it will just flash for another 5 seconds. So it'll be like a 10 seconds in total. So I'm just going to lower that now, set to 0, and the timer now stops, and it's done a recording of 1 minute and 19 seconds. So I'll connect the pump back up and try again. So nice and slowly, there it goes, 1.2. So it still hasn't hit the timer yet. As soon as it hits 1.5, there you go. It starts continuing with the timer. I'm taking up the pump. I'll just take it a few meters like that, and you can see that the timer is still going. Disconnect the pump and see that it still has the time up there. If I push button A now, it will come up with the temperature. So let's lower the pressure. Let's do it nice and slowly. I will show you. See, the timer's still going. It's 1.8, 1.7, timer's still going, 1.6, 1.5, and as soon as I go under 1.5, the timer will stop. So if I let all that out, and let's take the watch out and have a look at some of the information. Now if I press button A here, I will have a surface time up here. So I press that, and it now laps on 2 minutes. This will go up to 48 hours, and as I said before, if I dive within 10 minutes, this will continue and keep it as one log. Otherwise it will reset it and come out of the dive mode and then class it as a log number 2. So what else do you get on there? You get your dive time, and then you have your maximum in depth. So we reached a maximum of 11 meters, and it actually does come up with depth maximum there. What I will do now, I shall put it back in the pot and show you that this will reset. So at the moment that's on 3 minutes, and so when I put it back in the pot and do another pressure, it's going to reset that back to 0. Off I go again. So just taking it over there. Look, do it nice and slowly. And when it goes to 1.5, it will start continuing there. And now the timer's going. So I shall now disconnect the pump again, lower the pressure. So now I'm going to take it back out and then show you the readings. So if I press button A now, you can see that the surface time is now reset. So you have that. Okay, so now let's exit the dive mode. So a long press on button C there. Wait for the audible tone. And now this is in the home screen. I will now have the surface time recorded here, and that will record up to 48 hours, and there is no way I can remove this. Now I can go back into the dive mode and do another dive, and that will reset it. So basically this is just to know how long you will last in the water, especially when you're flying. This is very important that you have those couple of days of rest. If I press button A while in the home screen, it still goes back to the day of the week. I still get my tide graph, but now I get the additional surface time like so. Now if I press button C, I go into the log, and there's log number 1, and it flashed with some details there. So to get that back again, just press button A. So basically what it's going to do is show you the year, it shows you the date, and then it shows you the time like so, and then it comes back. So it's given me a recording of the temperature, that's my dive time, and then you have the maximum there, and that's all the data you will have. Now if you wanted to, you could record the compass, and then you would have to go onto another display, which will be another press of button C there, and then it have record. And here I took the recording. Remember, I took recording of the compass, so I have that one. And if I press again, I have a recording of the meters with the temperature. This will record up to 20 logs. So if you recorded 21 logs, it will remove the oldest first. So just have that to mind. Dive log will hold 20 and the recording log will hold 20. So you have 40 logs in total, which is really good. So let's go for log number 2. So building up the pressure. Do it nice and slowly, and there, let's give it some beans. Let's really get some pressure in there. That went over 13 meters. Anyway, so there it is. It's still counting. Let me show you the audible warning again. Get a bit of close up. You ready? Gonna really push the valve. There it comes with slow. Audible for 5 seconds, and then it just flashes for another 5 seconds. So you can't hear the audible tone in there at all. So if I push again, we'll go again, look, going, surfacing too quickly. There it goes, it's going to give you another warning. Also, I'd like to point out that on the sub-dial here, it is going to measure 60 minutes. So you have a little marker there. So let me take it out and show you. So now I've taken it out of the pressure pot. Just like to show you the sub-dial there, it's made one mark there. That's to measure 1 minute. If I left it, it would go up to 60 minutes of total. So anyway, so that's in the dive mode. If I press button A, there I've got a new recording. Now I went 13.3 meters. So let's exit the dive mode. Well, actually, let's take a compass and show you what that looks like. So I've taken the compass, there it is. Let's press the record button there and then record the degrees. So now I'm going to exit the dive mode with a long press. So that's really good. So you can only exit the dive mode with a long press. You can't just press it for a few seconds. It has to be a really good firm press. Now it's lapsed from 0. It's now on a minute. So it's reset that side. So you still have all the other things from home screen. Now if I go into log, now it's going to come up with log number 2 because that is the second one. Again, you can press button A and it will give you the year, date and time. And here it's come up with the temperature. There's my dive time, and here I've reached 13.3 meters. So if I press button D here, this will scroll through and take me to log number 1. There it is. There's the difference, 2.5 minutes. And then when I go into record, this will have record number 3, and there is my compass bearing. You can delete either one at a time or all of them at one go. So pressing button A will come up with clear, and that's deleted one, or with a long press, it will come clear hold, and then it will come clear all. And then that is a total reset. So you can do the same when you go into your log as well, and all my data has been deleted. And just to add, the surface time is reset from new. So again, if I did another dive, a third dive, that would reset again. So it would always reset it. So you would always know exactly where you are with regards to surface time. Now for the Gulfmaster. And to enter the dive mode, I'm going to use, well, actually this has two modes. You've got the sensor mode and you have the watch modes there. So I'm just going to call that sensor mode and mode, so we know which way around, otherwise I'm going to get confused. So at the moment that is in home time. So by pressing the sensor mode there once, it's going to go into the depth. Now just to sort of give you an example, if I press it once, it has that one beep, and that's for barometer, 2 beeps compass, 3 beeps altimeter, 4 beeps is temperature, and then the long beep is for the depth. So what do we have on the watch? The second hand is now going to be used as a depth gauge or reader, and it's going to use this white part here and the red here, and this will measure up to 50 meters. And I'd just like to point out that on the Frogman being at 80 meters, you can push the buttons. There is no problem. And with the Gulfmaster here at 50 meters, again, there is no problem at pushing buttons at that depth. Obviously, you don't want to unscrew the crown. I also like to point out that you can use the backlight while submerged, but if you want the auto backlight, So on the Gulfmaster, it will measure from 0.1 meter and it will measure up to 59 minutes and 59 seconds. Now by pressing button A here at the top, I can select the duration like so and back like that. So once I hit the water, it won't take a measurement or a timed measurement until I've reached at least 1 meter, and then it will automatically record this. Now if I come back out of the water, then that will be classed as log 1, and when I go back in, that will be classed as log 2, and this will do it automatically. So you can just come in, out, as long as you go over 1 meter, and then it starts it automatically, then you will record this automatically for you. I hope you're sort of following. It has a little bit of a difference to what the Frogman does, but it doesn't have this surface time, and it also doesn't continue with the dive. So with the Frogman, if you want to say do 5 dives, then this will record it all as one log, whereas this will record it as 5 separate dives. Just sort of point that out. Now, if you want to take a recording, say you only went at 0.8 meters, you can do a long press on the sensor button there, and it will come up with record, and that will record the meters and it will record the duration. I mean, at the moment, it's not going to have a duration because I haven't gone over 1 meter. So what else can you do? You can push the backlight, you can have the backlight there, and if the hands obscure the digital display, then it's press the backlight and the mode button at the same time, and then it will put them into that 2 o'clock rocket position, and then you can just press mode if you wanted, and it will just put them back again like so. So what I need to do is get this in the pressure pot and show you how this works. Just to point out again that the second hand is going to move and will measure up to 50 meters. Well, I'm not going to put it up to 50 meters, but it will go increasements of every 2 meters. So don't panic if it's got to 1 meter and the second hand hasn't moved. I'm just going to show you that it has to reach 2 meters before the second hand moves. So there you go. I'll just very lightly, it's very sensitive. So that's 1 meter. So now that's going to start recording the time automatically. And as soon as I hit 2 meters, you see the second hand move. So let's give that a little bit of a pump and take this up to 10 meters. Let's take this up to 10 meters. I can feel the pressure. There you go. So that is on there. So I'm now going to disconnect the pump. And there you have it. So let's get a bit of a close-up. If I could push button A, that would give me the elapsed time. And I could say I can use the backlight. I could take a manual recording again if I wanted to. When I push very hard on the valve, there is going to be no warning. It's just going to go straight back to 0 like so. Once you hit 0, it will come up with the duration, which is 1 minute and 6 seconds, and the maximum depth of 10.9 meters. What I'm going to do, I'm going to connect the pump back on and give it some more pressure. Now you can see that the log is flashing past. Now once I increase above 1 meter, then the log disappears and now I'm on a new recording. Now this will be registered as log number 2, like I mentioned. So I'm just going to take that up to about 7. Disconnect the pump. And then release the pressure. There it goes down. And then that is now going to be log number 2. Again with the duration and the maximum depth. So I'm just going to do that the 3rd time. I just want to add that this pressure pot is actually taken from a NUTRiBULLET. So I'm hoping Mrs Rangeman isn't going to be watching this because she doesn't know that I've put a big hole in the lid. Anyway, I'm taking that right up. Look, I've took that up to 15 meters now. So I'll just connect the pump. And now you can see the second hand is right over there now. Look at that, really good. And now I'm going to release the pressure. And then should have a new recording. There it goes, 42 seconds with a record of 15.3 meters. Right, let's take it out of the pressure pot and see what data we have. Before we look at the data, I just want to point out something really cool on this. Now, you're probably thinking that on the Frogman, you can take a recording of the temperature and the compass, whereas on here, you just get duration and the depth. Well, you can, because you can actually select while you are below 1 meter and it's recording. If you press on the sensor button here and you select the compass or the temperature, you can actually take the readings from there with a long press on the mode button, or the sensor mode button there. It will take a recording like so, and it will also continue with the depth reading and the duration. So that is really cool. So you don't have to mess anything up. It doesn't sort of intervene. So there is my compass and the second hand is being used there like so. And I can take a recording by pressing on the sensor button. It comes up with record and that is now recorded. So if I come back out there, past the temperature and back to the depth, and then I should have all the time sort of stored there. That will be continually counting like so. But if I do press the mode button there and exit the sensor mode, then yes, you will lose all that data. But if you do, you can still enter the depth mode and start again. I presume you can do it like that. Okay, this is a little tip for you Gulfmasters out there, and it doesn't have to be in the dive mode, it can be in any mode. Now you see that the minute hand is now creeping into the digital display, and if I push the light button and the mode button, you have the sweeping second hands in the 2 o'clock rocket position. Now this will only last for about 10 seconds and then it will go back. Now I'm going to show you a little tip which actually does work. So if I now press the light button and the mode button but keep my finger on the mode button, it will hold it longer for 10 seconds. In fact, it will hold it there till you release the mode button. Exit the dive mode, it's just pressing the mode and then that goes back to home time. And then to enter the recording mode, it's recall, it's the first one, and there it flashed up with the date and it's come up with the meters and the time. And I've got the minute hand right in the middle. So if I press the light and then the mode, and then keep my finger on the mode. I'm going to give you a real demonstration of how long you can sort of hold this in position. Now you can see that's 1543 and 0.0 meters. Now that must have been my very first recording, and see how long those hands are staying out of the way. So once I release, you still have another 10 seconds. Now if I push button A in this mode, it will show me, it will put the hands back to position, and then by pressing that it would tell me absolutely nothing because that minute hand is in the way. So what I'm going to do, I'm just going to wait till that's passed and then show you again all the details, because that is very annoying. But anyway, you get the idea of how to hold the hand out the way. It's very difficult when you're trying to do a tutorial and explain with that in the way, but in real life you can deal with it. You can move it and you can actually see what's going on because you can move that display. Why they haven't got it on auto sort of move out the way, I don't know. So if Casio, if you're listening, I tell you, this watch is absolutely stunning. It's still in really, really good condition. Now I've only lost the orange paint on the button there. Otherwise, apart from that, it's in really good condition. A few little marks there on the bezel. But hey, this was the very first Master of G I bought. Still another 5 minutes to go. So finally the minute hand is moved out the way. So from home time, I can now press the mode button and hit recall. And there it's come up with 01, it comes up with the date, there it comes up the time, and there's the meters. Now if I press the sensor mode button here, it will go to log number 2 and repeat through with different information. Thank you second hand, you have to come in 10.9 meters on that one. Log number 3, or the recall 3, that's 7.7 meters. And then number 4, we had, what do we have on that one? We had 15.3 meters. That was a biggie. And number 5, that was the temperature reading. And then the last one must be the compass reading. There it is. North-northeast at 14 degrees. And like on the Frogman, if you just press it once with a longer press, it comes up with clear. You can clear 1. Or with a very long press, it comes up with clear all. And then you have a couple of dashes like that. Now that is completely empty. So you want to perform this experiment yourself, but you don't have a pressure pot, then all you need is a sandwich bag. This is not going to be easy behind the camera, so you blow it up, twist the top, and then really give it a squeeze. There we go, look at that. Really trying to get it over the 1.5. There we go. Look at that. Wow. Let's see if I can pick that. Got a hole in the bag. So what have I managed? 1.8 meters. Well, that wasn't bad in 2 seconds. So if you have a really thick bag, maybe you can do a lot better. Hey, that could actually be a game, couldn't it? Who can get the highest meters before the bag pops? Now, I hope you found this video useful. Now you've seen them working, even though it's using my pressure pot. But hey, this was a really good way of giving you a good demonstration. There it is, lapping at 38 minutes since I last did the test. Which one did you like the most? Anyway, that's 13 meters, and that's also 13 meters of pressure pot testing. As always, thanks for watching.